so the first question is, there's an argument over the existence of the mind and what it is. Some people believe only the brain exists and it controls all of our behavior / actions. What are your thoughts on the mind versus brain argument? How would you describe them?
Okay, so, well, I guess I think that there is something to the idea of a mind. As something to the idea of the mind being more than just, like there being more than just the physical brain, right, like you said. My experience with that, the reason why I would say that is because I had some experience with doing transcendental meditation, and so in that instance, you're trying to observe, one, the material body, your material body, including, well, your physical, legs and arms and torso, but I mean, it all comes back to the brain, because that's where our experiences of the world are filtered through, our perceptions, which go through the brain, right? But once you're able to get to a certain point in that, you do start to explore. I guess the mind. You start to explore what processes are taking place in your physical brain that are part of something bigger than just your individual self. So I believe that, like, we're all connected, and like my experience is connected to someone else's experience, is connected to someone else's experience, not necessarily like even more so than that. I believe that, like, my physical, like, to think of myself, it comes back to me, for me, to the ego, or the false ego, because we all have this sense of we're all individuals in this world, and we're all, like, by ourselves, and we just have our physical bodies, and we want to please our physical bodies and please our brains and give them the stimulation that they're craving. But there's more to our experience than that. We're all connected, and I think that there is something. I like to think that there's something more to our experiences than that, and I think that that's the mind is the conduit through which we can experience the I guess transcendental, like we can transcend our physical experience to hopefully experience something more true than, like, just what we see around us. So yeah, so I think that there is something to the mind, something to there being something other than just the physical aspect of the brain. I don't know if what I'm talking about is necessarily the scientific or psychological way of thinking of it. It's more, like I say, more spiritual experience that I'm discussing, but that still, I think, leads me to answer your question to the affirmative, that there must be two distinct entities to, like, the brain and the mind, and yeah, I'll just stop it there, because I think I said enough on that one.
It's okay. Remember, there are no right or wrong answers, it's just strictly opinion.
Cool.
Okay, second question, what do you think controls our behavior?
What do I think controls our behavior? I think ultimately we control our behavior. Like, do you mean like the mind or the brain? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that can be it too.
Okay. So, I mean, I think, for me, I think it really just comes down to we control our behavior, and especially being my context as an educator, you know what I mean, trying to set a good example for students and trying to, train and teach, important, socialize. It's because sometimes we have a tendency to displace responsibility for our actions and our choices onto something. Like, if I say, oh, well, it's just my brain has always been like this. I always have been impatient, and so therefore I don't need to try to do the homework because I'm just an impatient person. I know there's something in my brain that makes me like that. So I think that's a bit of a cop-out. And so, I think that what is it then that causes us to make choices? And what's the factor that affects our actions? Well, it's too tired to answer these questions. I think it ultimately comes back to personal responsibility. We are making our own choices every day. We're in control of our destinies. Yeah.
Well, third question. How would you define consciousness? Where and when does it begin?
Wow. Consciousness. This is deep stuff.
Class was awesome.
Yeah, this is cool. It sounds like it was a good class. Consciousness. Well, I suppose consciousness would be our experience. So our experience of the world, our experience of the outer world, our experience of our own inner worlds. What was the second part of the question? Where does it come from?
Where and when does it begin in your opinion?
I can't remember if I was conscious in the room. I honestly don't recall. Possible. Where and when does it begin? But I mean, I suppose it. I mean, I suppose that it's possible that I was conscious as two different entities in my mother and father. I mean, the sperm and the egg could have had their own consciousness for all I know. I have no clue. I mean, we don't remember these things. If they do. Possibly I was conscious, my spirit or my living consciousness could have been conscious in some other entity before that. I don't know. I think that we've lost, unfortunately, in our current day society, the idea of a collective conscience. Like, I'm thinking of this goes back to my experience with like meditation and Buddhism. That there is, or there can be, like an idea of the whole world as a global organism instead of just a whole bunch of individual parts, and that, conveniently would make the world a better place because everyone would be nice to be doing, hopefully looking out for each other, and then that would, be one of the things that could affect our decisions and our actions, like that previous, as I was, like, that's a good answer to the previous question, I guess. But I've forgotten what I was even saying now. What was the question again? Consciousness. Where does it come from? Who knows where it comes from? Maybe, I don't know, reincarnation is possible. I don't know. I think I'll stop on that now.
Okay.
I'm rambling.